Hello, everybody. Kadri here for my fourth ever Facebook Live broadcast, and it's sometimes it gets easy, sometimes it doesn't. Um, this time it feels a little nerve-wracking for me, and yet I will embrace it and move along and move on. So, before we move on to the subject that I have for today, I would like to touch base on in the last Facebook Live, which was on self-love, especially for men. It was really for everyone, yet it seems to be a bit of a struggle for men to talk about and experience and work with. So we decided to make it about around men and this topic of men and self-love. Anyhow, I want to just touch base on that and just say from all of the comments and the questions that have come up, because it is such a broad subject. Self-love in general, it doesn't matter if who you are, if you're a man, woman, or a child, is something that's really challenging. And so it can be really complex work that you can do, inner child work, therapy work, or you can just, not eat the second cookie or whatever, or know exactly when to say yes or no, and changing patterns. And so I just want to say it's a huge subject, and it's not something that you can just cover in 45 minutes. And that whatever you do, when you break patterns and you make yourself shine and you do it for yourself, going against the grain of the conditioning that we have been conditioned by in our society and our through our childhood. Anything that makes your spirit shine is self-love. So I wanted to just touch base on that. If you haven't seen that, it's on my wall. It's from last Sunday. It's a really beautiful topic to cover. Okay, so the subject that I wanted to talk about this Sunday is it was interesting because when I posted the announcement yesterday on Facebook, I said coming out, and my girlfriend's like, "Whoa, people are going to think something different." And I'm like, "Wait a second. That's not what I mean. I don't think that's what coming out means." And so I looked in the Webster Dictionary, and in the Webster Dictionary, the definition of coming out really means sharing something personal with the public. And so that's what it is for me. And before I say what it is, I'm going to talk a little bit about shame and the way that we get conditioned in our society and accepting ourselves, not accepting ourselves in just the way that we are. Seems to be the one thing that's consistent in what creates this kind of mindset and belief system around that we need to reject ourselves one way or another and to be liked and to be accepted. So the thing that I have been struggling with most of my adult life is, especially in the later years, is getting old. And so that's what the topic is going to be about in this Facebook Live. And I encourage anyone at any time that's joining, please say hello or just acknowledge that you're here, wave, whatever it is that you need to say. I can see on the sidebar over here, and that way I can tell that I'm not alone, and I can see who's here. So the subject is about getting old. And the reason I want to talk about this is on April 1st, this is no joke, I turned 60 years old. Yeah, 60 years old. It's a little bit surreal for me because I don't really feel 60 years old, and I don't feel like I'm an old person. Yet, not too long ago, when I was, in my 30s or in my 20s, I used to think about somebody who was in their 50s and 60s, and I would think that they were fucking ancient. And so, what I want to really talk about is my struggle around why I did not want to share that with anybody. And anytime that the subject came around to my age, I would just kind of deviate from the conversation, or I would just change the subject, or I would say, "Oh, I'm timeless." That was a really common one that I would always come up with. "Oh, I'm timeless." So here I am, I'm 60 years old, yet I feel like I'm in a, 35 to 40-year-old body. And I feel like my mind and my emotions are pretty similar to that. And so, and most of my peer group, the people I'm around, are not my age. They are in their, you know, 30s and 40s. And so it's really a struggle for me to identify with my 60-year-old age, because most people when they turn 60 years old are are pretty much thinking about retirement and um, you know setting themselves up for the golden years. And I'm not. I feel like I'm just getting started. I feel like I'm just coming into who I really am. And so the reason why I wanted to talk about this is the shame-based aspect of it, and how I felt really shameful around having to, uh, admit that I was getting older. And especially 60 years old. When I turned 60, oh my God, 60 fucking years old. There was a lot of jokes between my friends and my girlfriend and I, and so the and I had to look at that. I'm like, what is this all about? Where is this coming from? I mean, is it is it because I feel really good. I have I'm okay. I have good things in my life. What will happen if I admit and share that I'm 60 years old? I'm coming into my elderhood. And what I realized is that I had this old conditioning in my mind around that I will not be attractive to others, that I would not be desirable. And even though those even though I know consciously that I'm okay, I have great things going for me. I have beautiful people in my life. I have a beautiful partner. I have a lot of blessings in my life. Yet I still have this aspect that keeps coming up for me. It's like, where is it coming from? Where is it coming from? And it's the old patterns and the society and from childhood that gets ingrained into our consciousness, and it's really hard to break from. And this is my part in breaking out of that the societal engravement and conditioning around as you get older. um, like maybe there's grace there, maybe there's wisdom there, there's other things that we can embrace about ourselves, other than the negative aspect of it, we're getting old and undesirable, or not going to be good enough at doing this or doing that. And especially for me, it's really hard because I'm 60 years old. I can press up into a handstand, and I still surf. I'm surfing better than I've ever surfed in my life. active. I don't know. There's just a lot going on for me. So it's not my physical life does not match the what this an ordinary 60-year-old that you perceive to be or feel or whatever it is. I'm having a loss of words for that, probably for a good reason. I'm not there, so it's even harder for me because I'm not able to identify with that, and yet I am. I'm 60 years old. I'm coming into my elderhood, and I'm having a hard time embracing that. And this is a part of my coming out and taking action on embracing my becoming an elder, becoming somebody who has to shift, transition in life into a different part of my life. And I'll tell you what, for the last 4 years, it's been happening, and I've been struggling with it, and it's brought me a lot of confusion and some pain. And the more and more I'm embracing this part of myself, this stage of my life, the more peace that I'm able to embrace and have in my life. So, yeah, so you folks who are here watching this are not only a witness to my process, you're also a part of my process, and I want to thank you for that. So, wow, right? And what do I do with that? So, I have been told by several people, even my friend Mateo, who was a part of my broadcast last week around self-love, said, I talked to him about, getting older, and, he asked me how old I was, and I told him, and I said, dude, you gotta share that stuff. You have to share that. You have to share with people how, what it takes to do what you do. And how you stay active, and and yes, I'm blessed with a vehicle in this life that looks probably younger than I should for my age. Yet I was encouraged not by only him, but my partner and some other friends to start sharing about this. And that actually started 4 years ago, when I was in a situation where I was doing a private session with somebody who is fairly high profile. He's known as probably one of the best, the greatest athletes ever. And I had an acro yoga session with him and a meditation session. And it was set up. He's not the one that did it. His wife set it up. And so I'm super nervous with this super famous guy. After we meet and we sit down one-on-one, we're cross-legged, sitting down across from each other, and I just flat out said to him, I said, I'm nervous, and I don't know, how I can serve you. And what he said to me has stayed with me ever since, and which was, he goes, I want to know what you do. I want to know what you do, what you have done in your life to be where you're at right now, physically and the way that you look. Because I don't know what he was feeling or seeing. It must have been my physical stature or my energy or whatever it was. And I said, why is that? He's like, well, I've been playing for a certain amount of time, and I want to play for another 10 years, and I want to know what you do. And it was really interesting because it was like, okay, well, it made me reflect back on my life and what it is that I do. And that has brought me to where I am right now and who I am right now. And the three things that came up right away for me was surfing. Been active and in the ocean with nature all my life since I was 12 years old. Meditation is probably another thing that has been consistent through my life. Off and on, mostly on, but sometimes off. And the one thing that I can, when I look back on it, that I can reflect on that was a consistent factor throughout my whole life is positive attitude and being optimistic, just being positive, seeing the glass, half full, or seeing the glass, just overflowing. And regardless of what kind of situation that I may find myself in, struggling and in pain or in sadness, and I always felt like I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. I always knew it was there, and that whatever I was experiencing is temporary. And so that is, if somebody was to ask me again, and that would probably be what I would like to share in order to inspire someone who maybe is younger than I am to embrace in their lives or bring into their lives in order to have the possibility of enjoying things into their 60s like I am. I'm still surfing and I'm still playing and I'm still lighthearted. I still put people up over my head and I jump off of things and climb things, and I think that's what it is. If I was to reflect back, that's what set me up in order for me at a later age to be able to be active and to enjoy the life that I am enjoying right now. So, hello everybody. Hi. Let me put on my glasses so I can see who's out there. I want to take some questions. If you have any questions, please push the little emoji buttons it really helps me out when I see things flying around, and also I believe that it helps me out with the algorithms for Facebook to open this up to a broader audience. So if you want to, please say hello or emoji button and all that kind of stuff. And if you have any questions, please, bring it on, and so I can share whatever life experience that I may have had in the last 60 years. If I can help, I'm here to help. This is my purpose in life now. I've surrendered to competing with people half my age, and I don't mean competing in a negative way. I mean competing in people who are just beginning their lives, and they're just really hungry and really going for the gusto, for however they're establishing in their lives, who they are and what they're building. I'm actually, in the last year, I have embraced the fact that I need to support instead of compete. And so that's why I'm here. Okay. So I'm going to read some of these. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Rachel. Nobody has any questions. There's all kinds of beautiful things that are being said, but no questions. Clayton. Yeah, actually, yeah, so Clayton's like, you look great. You look a whole lot better with a beer in your hand. Oh my God. Hold on. I just lost my computer. Okay, here we go. So, Yeah, and another thing is diet. That I want to talk about diet, and I've had a clean diet, and yet, I have vices. Sugar is sugar is my vice. Also, I like to party. I like to have a good time. So you know, sometimes I drink, a little too much. And at this point right now, I'm not drinking, and I'm actually doing a cleanse. No sugar, off of sugar, and off of alcohol. So sorry, Clayton. No beer in my hand. I actually have tea. Okay, so let me see here. How should we move forward? Oh, another thing that I wanted to talk about is the is 4 years ago, around when this whole thing started for me. What what I all of a sudden everything in my life started changing. I was in a super flowing state. Everything was kind of going my way. Just about every corner I turned, there was anything I thought about immediately manifested. So I was in my mojo, in my flow, in my zone, and it's like I had it. I had it going. I had a ride, kind of a thing. And around 4.5 years ago, all of a sudden everything started shifting for me. And, things were harder to make happen. Things were a struggle. And eventually what I had to do is the universe was pushing me into moving from where I was really comfortably set up. And I sold pretty much 35, 40 years of possessions, a whole basement full of stuff, barn full of stuff, an apartment full of stuff, and rental units, and my financial stability. The universe was like, okay, it's time for you to move on. So I even got rid of 45 years of collection of surfboards, which is about 42 surfboards, and then I ended up moving down here to Costa Rica, and the struggle continued. And what one of my spiritual teachers and advisors told me as I was speaking to them about this situation and the struggle and confusion that was coming up for me, that was unusual in my life, or at least that's not what I had been. That's not what I had been used to for a period of time in my life. And she's also an astrologer. She looked at my chart and she pretty much said, you have like 8 different aspects happening right now in your life. Most people don't have, they maybe have 1 or 2 happening in their lives, and you're having 8 of them happening, and they're all amazing. Great. And so one of the things that she said was, I was going through, for those astrology buffs, I was going through my second Saturn return. I'm not that much into astrology, but I understand what that is. It's about taking responsibility for one's life. And so ultimately what I walked away from her conversation was she said to me, I'll never forget it. She said, Kadri, we have lost the time-honored tradition of helping each other through different stages in life. And what's happening to you right now is that you are self-initiating into elderhood. And it's not an easy thing. And yet, that's what's happening to you. You are, once you go through this transition by yourself, you will be helping other people to also do this because you have experienced it. And there was something about that that was really sweet and endearing to me, and it felt right, and it felt it felt noble, and ultimately it just resonated with me. And so one of my desires in doing these Facebook lives, becoming more present and to a wider audience, is to help others transition into different stages in life, whether you're transitioning from being a adolescent into young adulthood, and from young adulthood to being an adult, and from being an adult to being an established king of your kingdom, and then coming into being an elder. I've gone through all of those, and I'm really passionate about finding ways to help others, support others in transitioning in the different stages of life. And I think we need to bring this back into our society, into our communities, into our kula, to change this world. That's how we're going to. I believe we're going to do it. So, okay, I'm going to listen. There's a bunch of people writing stuff, so I'm going to. Okay, so bear with me for 1 second while I read. Okay, so Joanna. Oh my God, Joanna. Hi. There's so many amazing friends here. Hey guys. Wow. So, so Joanna, let me bring this up onto the screen here. Joanna's a dear friend. Please give Brian a hug from me, Joanna. Okay, so she says, so what are your thoughts on preserving these sacred practices in the midst of external chaos, also known as very little time? And Joanna's also just has a baby, and Joanna and Brian, congratulations, you guys. And in the previous note, she's actually mentioned having to juggle so many different things in life. So oh my God, it's just when we have children, it's such a, we just literally take our, as, when I had a child, it was like I literally took my personality, the cadre as I knew it, and put it aside. And everything was about, my son and my daughter. And so for 18 years, that's what I lived for and lived around, and struggled with, and struggled against. And so it's probably one of the hardest things to create time and sacred space for oneself when we have children. And if we have really strong partnerships, this is where we can, we can actually have the opportunity to partnerships. I mean, with a spouse or another partner, or support like family and friends. You just need to make the time. You just have to make the time. This is my time, and I'm going to do it, and ask for help. And if you don't ask for help, then it's just an internal battle, internal struggle, and we end up feeling like victims to our circumstance. And we just need to ask for help. That's it. I hope that's helpful, Joanna. Yeah, asking for help is so hard, and then we just end up expecting people to know that we need help, and when we don't ask for it, we end up spiraling down into feeling like we're a victim to our life circumstances. I hope that helps, Joanna. Okay. All right, so we're we're reaching almost 30 minutes. I will just touch on a couple of things, and if you have another question for me, please in this time, because there's a 10-second lag in this, so your words don't pop up until a little bit later for me. And so the one thing that everything that I bring back, everything I'm bringing back, everything that I'm talking about always comes back to meditation for me. And Joanna, this is probably a good one for you also, is to, if you don't have a regular meditation practice, find, at least create a space for yourself at home. Make that space a sacred space. And to where you can go and, it's almost like it's a sanctuary where you can go and have solitude, even if it's for 1 minute or 2 minutes out of your day. Find a spot in your home that you create for your sacred space, and then sit there and practice whatever meditation practice. There's so many meditation practices out there, and just one of them is you can just sit and close your eyes. Understand that you are sitting with your body, and set the intention of following your breath coming in, going out. And every time a thought comes up, just bring it back to your object of your meditation, which at that point is your breath. And if you can just do that, 1 minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes a day, that is really powerful. And it's really powerful, not only in the moment, it's really powerful to set us up in the future to generate more energy around that practice. Okay, so having said that, I want to thank everybody for showing up and coming here, and know that you can continue to put questions on there. Once this live is over, I will go back and answer the questions. And then there's a rebroadcast too. So on the rebroadcast, you can also ask questions on the rebroadcast. I keep an eye on it, and I keep the dialogue going and the conversation going also. And I open it up to all of you to have conversations on the questions too. This is a community project, and it's not just about me. It's about everybody that is a part of this right now, and who is also going to join in the future. And so future, you can find me in my offerings. I am at Wanderlust at the end of July in Tahoe. I will be leading the Acro Yoga program there with my great friend Justin Bench, and 10 amazing Acro Yogis as the support team, the assistant team. Also, in September, we have a Luminous Heart Institute is an institute that you could just go and check it out. It's pretty cool. I'll put the link up into the comments, which I don't have right now, which I forgot. It is a teacher training, a yoga, 200-hour yoga and meditation teacher training here in Costa Rica. This is with my amazing yogi friend Nancy Goodfellow, who runs the program down here, who's been down here for close to 20 years. She's awesome, amazing, filled with wisdom. We also have 2 other teachers, Kirk Blaker and also Chantal Russell, who's going to be a part of the, and Amy Guthrie, who's going to be a part of the teaching team. So we have, right now we have 10 different countries represented by the students that have signed up. So please check it out, and if you know anybody that might be a good fit for that, or if you're interested in that, please send us a note and let us know, how we can serve you and help you. Okay, having said that, thank you all so much for showing up. Love you, love you, love you. Bye bye.